Alright, just in case nobody watches MaoistRebel news video, which you should, he's a very intelligent guy, there was this white boy that had won a black scholarship of the Martin Luther King Foundation or something of that sort, and when he went on stage, he gave back the scholarship because I guess he's technically not black. Maybe on his origins and things he has black heritage, like maybe one of his parents was black or whatever, but he looks white. So for the most part, that's how people judge one another, by how they look, because by the way I look, you would think I'm white. But if I were to go up to a neo-Nazi and claim to be white, I would get my ass kicked, because there are characteristics of me that are not completely white, and they spot those immediately. But to the average person, I am just white, or Caucasian, I should say, and so that puts me in kind of a bad position. What I'm trying to get at here, let me first get it out of the way that college is not worth a shit. That even if you win a college tuition, take it with a grain of salt. The best college is going to do for you is put you first in line to be a janitor or to work at McDonald's or some shit like that. The most powerfulest people in this world, or at least in the United States, never went to college or at least dropped out. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out, Steve Jobs dropped out, Bill Gates dropped out. The only difference between them and you is because they had bourgeoisie privilege, not white privilege. I mean, yes, some of them are white. Mark Zuckerberg is Jewish. But my point is that they all came from rich backgrounds. Money talks. That's it. Everything else is secondary to the fact that they had money to begin with. And it was because of that money they had opportunities. It was because of that money they talked to other people with money and were able to actually pursue what they wanted to pursue for selfish reasons. They have no desire to help humanity. They have no desire to see humanity move forward. They just want to glorify themselves, and they have the money to do that. So, before anyone gets offended either which way, I just want to tell you that college is worthless. It's just a simple gesture. It's kind of mean-spirited when you think about it. This idea that, oh, let's have a lottery pool to see if you have an opportunity to a higher education, which will actually get you somewhere in life and not have to dig dirt holes for the rest of your life. When in reality, it's not going to do anything. You're still going to end up digging ditches. You're still going to end up roofing roofs. You're still going to end up doing some job you hate, and that's going to destroy you utterly. The only difference is now you have a pretty degree. It's all fabrications. It's all a ruse, and that's what makes it so ugly. And that's why I support what I'm going to say right now. I think the guy should have taken the scholarship. Not because somehow racism is over. I know goddamn well that's not true. Not because that somehow he's as equally entitled to it as a black kid in the same situation, if not a worse. Because as MaoistRebel said, this kid was white, and he was at least middle class, which means he is a tiny bit more up on the social ladder than your average black male. But that really doesn't make a whole big difference in reality. In practical terms, they're both basically poor. They're both enemies to the rich. The rich is equally going to step on them and boss them around and destroy any humanity that's left in them. The rich are going to indoctrinate them. The rich are going to subvert them. The rich are going to enslave them. The rich are going to abuse them. The rich are going to rape them. I could just go on and on. The point is, they're both in the same spot. Everything else is just smokes and mirrors. So, what this comes down to is, if you see an opportunity, take it. Regardless of what it is, regardless of what people think about it, regardless of the morality of it, you have to take every opportunity, especially in this capitalist bourgeoisie society. You have to take these opportunities to stick it to them. You have to take these opportunities to mock them. You have to take these opportunities to rub it in their faces. And while indeed I do not think that this college scholarship would have given him personally anything he would have needed to rise out of his middle-class rut, nor would it actually be morally good anyway that one person gets to climb out of the mud of being the poor class while the rest of us suffer. It's the point of rub it in their faces. It's the point of, for some reason, someone in the Martin Luther King Foundation fucked up and gave a white guy a black-centered college tuition fund and take advantage of it. Take advantage of their ignorance. Take advantage of their mistake. And then turn around and wait for the results. It's not even so much that I think that him as an individual has the right to take opportunity, but the feedback of it, the consequences of that. Imagine the uproar that would have happened if this white guy had kept the college tuition. Oh, the Black Panthers would have a spur up their ass. And you know what? They should. In fact, all black people should. All black people should be pissed off if this white guy would have kept his college tuition. And maybe then, 5% of the black population would have became Black Panthers. And maybe then, they could have an actual racial revolution. And maybe then, they could have actual racial equality. You see what I'm saying here? You have to invoke negative feelings into people. That is why I tout nihilism just as much as communism. Because in those ancient monarch days, nihilists said that we need to cling to our dread and our frustration and our sense of doom and use that as our weapon. The very fact that we know life is bad and it can't get much worse. There is nowhere to go but up. It is that depressing fact that motivates you to go out there and do something. Fight Club kind of touched on that. So that's the thing here. If he had just kept the scholarship, not only would he have benefited, but the blacks as a whole would have benefited, because their frustration and their anger would have motivated them to actually do something and give up these petty little civil protests and things. They would have incited a hatred in them that would have made them stomp on the doors of politicians and corporate executives and everything else, because it would have occurred to them that they have gone nowhere in these past 60 years, that despite all their protests, despite getting hosed down, despite getting dogs sicked on them, despite getting called nigger, despite being segregated against and having one fountain over here and another fountain over there, despite all of that dehumanization, they're still in a rut. Maybe not quite as bad of a rut, but they're still in a rut. And the best our elites can do is just give a fake smile, say, well, them's the breaks, lad, that's how capitalist society works. And just resist that urge to go into the racial slurs and the more primitive side of human degrading. But they're thinking it. They're always thinking it. They're thinking it regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, regardless of your religion or nationality. They're the rich. They're taking advantage of opportunities. They always are. They're used to it. They have been doing it ever since they were born. That's the difference between us. The difference is because they know an opportunity when they see it, and they don't feel bad about taking advantage of it. No matter who it hurts, no matter how petty it is, no matter how evil and despicable it is to pursue it, they do it because they believe that much in themselves. You have to believe that much in your principles. You have to be willing to get down and dirty and to do despicable things for your principles, or else you have nothing. Because you are never going to be those rich people. You are never going to have that money. You are never going to have that power. You are never going to have that privilege. And you will never be equal so long as you continue to be honorable, so long as you continue to be moral, so long as you continue to be compassionate and courteous and empathetic and all this other bullshit. That were things they created to weaken you. They created religion to subjugate you. They created ethics to subjugate you. You go into this fight with your hands tied behind your back, worrying about whether or not God is going to think less of you, worrying about whether or not your actions are going to have negative consequences, whether or not you're going to go to jail. It's always about you, isn't it? Always the poor that have to suffer. It's always the poor that's the criminal. It's always the poor that's the scumbag. But meanwhile, they get to rape the earth of its natural resources, kill third world children, indiscriminately slaughter brown people in the name of war profits. But they're not bad people. No, too big to fail. Whether or not we agree with their methods, we need them, right? But we don't need the millions and billions of people that work every day to maintain this shit society. We don't need all the people that get up at 8 in the fucking morning to go pull a grind and make this matrix work. No, we don't need them. We need the few people that love to just saturate themselves in their own egos. They love to bathe in their own names. Yeah, we need them. So that's my issue here. MaoistRebel is correct that racism is by no means gone, and that it's a slap to the face to say that it is, and then turn around and do shit like this. But you know what? Maybe people need a slap to the face. Maybe people need to get angry, and maybe there needs to be a hate festering inside them to invoke a revolution. So you think about that, agree or disagree with me with it. See you later.